Now, talking about giving away money, our next guest here on this show is a man who knows about giving away money, always has monies in his pockets, it seems to be, wherever he goes. Probably a lot of people ask him, oh, can I have a 5 or a 10 even to borrow? And he is a host of the Discovery Channel from Cash Cab. Adam Growe, welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Joe. $10,000. You're making me look bad. I've given away at the most $1,500 in the cash cap. You got 10 grand to give away,
we
man.
we have 10 grand to give away, but you probably have given away a lot more than 10 grand over the years of doing Cash Cab, though.
Well, probably if you did the math, you might be right, Joe. I got to admit, though, we're into season 5, which is on the air right now on Discovery Channel.
Yep.
And in the Canadian version of Cash Cab, we'll be making season 6 this spring. And I have to tell you, I've said it before, that when someone gets into Cash Cab and they get surprised and they have no idea it's about to happen, even if they only win $400, it's like they won $1,000,000. They're extremely happy.
I bet you even if they won $25, they got a free cab ride in Toronto. Like, seriously.
True. I mean, even if I kick them out, they're like, we don't have to pay for the meter, right? No, that's covered. That's totally fine.
So you honestly have then a driver's license and you are legit to drive a cab.
Yes. In order to do the show, I did have to go get which is a lot more difficult than you might think. It was 3 weeks of in-class study. There was no practical stuff, and so I had to do that through the municipal licensing services of Toronto. And every 4 years you have to renew that. So I'm in the processes now. I've completed my full day of first aid CPR. So
Right.
I now am trained on an automated external defibrillator. You'll be happy to know.
Beautiful, beautiful.
They're hanging on the wall anywhere. I know how to.
Unfortunately, you're over there and via Skype world, and if I collapse, that doesn't do me any good, Adam.
Well, for $1,500, you should have one in the wall right behind you right now.
All right, sounds
The
good.
latest thing. And then this week I'll be doing the refresher course on all the geography. And you know what? I mean, even if you're in Mississauga with your studios and wherever you're watching right now, if you're watching in any city around the world, if you think about it, when you're driving around, even if it's somewhere where you grew up, you don't necessarily know the name of every street and every major intersection on the way to a place. Like if I said, get me from the airport to the Royal York Hotel downtown, you go, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
But would you know every major intersection on the way? Would you know the shortest possible route? And
No.
part of it is also not the quickest route necessarily. It's the shortest distance between 2 points. That's what you're trained on as a taxi driver. It's very similar in other cities around the world. So it was a little more difficult than I expected. And now leading up to this refresher course, I'm going, because I'm not like real cabbies. They really have to know their stuff. When I get people in the cash cab, people aren't all of a sudden we're making a game. They have a chance to win some money. I don't have to be in as much of a hurry to get them to their destination. It's a little bit more forgiving. I've got a production vehicle behind me if I get lost. So now I'm nervous again. I have to think again. I'm like, I'm going back to school.
Oh, jeez. Now, have you ever gotten lost in the city of Toronto? Because I know it could be very confusing myself driving.
No, I've never actually got lost. I mean, I've lived, I grew up in Vancouver and I moved out to Toronto and I've been in Ontario for, 20 plus years now. So I'm very familiar. If there's anybody that takes me to a destination that I'm not 100% sure of, like as a cab driver, you're allowed to use the special pearlies. Like,
Okay.
you're allowed to have a GPS. You're just supposed to be trained to know that stuff. So you're allowed to look up stuff. So even real, day-to-day cab drivers, they're allowed to refer to a map really quickly as long as their customer's okay with it. So I've never been lost.
Now,
There's some areas that I'm not necessarily excited about going to. Most of Toronto is completely cool, and I love it.
beautiful. Now, you brought up you were growing up in Vancouver too. Now, you also do Cash Cab Vancouver, correct?
Well, yeah, in Canada, we really wanted to get out of Toronto for just one season at least, and I would love to be doing Cash Cab in different cities across the country. And so I was one person amongst many who were trying to really get the show in Canada to a different city. So finally, Vancouver was the first and obvious choice. And in order to do that, so that that was season 5. We made that last spring, summer,
Yep.
2011. And so that's currently on the air on Discovery Channel, season 5. But in order to do that, I had to surrender my Ontario driver's license.
Oh, jeez.
Get a special class of British Columbia driver's license, because legally in this country, you can only have one driver's license for one problem.
I didn't know that.
said to surrender my Ontario driver's license, get a special class of BC driver's license, because it's not in Ontario. You can be a cab driver with just a regular driver's license and then special permit. In Vancouver, you need a special driver's license, special class, and then I had to get my taxi permit in Vancouver. So it was a whole bunch more of school in Vancouver, and now I'm coming back to Toronto, so I've got to flip it all around, surrender my BC driver's license. It's
geez.
Obviously, Joe, totally worth it. I love doing the show.
Yeah,
Cash Cab is a fantastic show, great fun, and people after seeing it, and even if they've only heard about it, they love being surprised in the Cash Cab.
See, this is very interesting to know that, because we just watch the show and think, all right, you're just driving a cab and asking questions. This is pretty easy, and this is great gig. But in reality of it all, it is a lot of hard work to get the license. You're probably the most hardworking game show host in North America, beating out Alex Trebek and Bob Barker and all, Pat Sajak.
Hey, these are guys, like, honestly, Joe, I don't mind telling you, growing up when I was a kid, I wanted to be a game show host.
Right.
Honestly and truly. And so Bob Barker, Alex Trebek, and all these guys, I mean, they're, in my mind, that's like the dream gig. A lot of stand-up comedians like me would be like, I want a sitcom. And, not that I would complain about a sitcom, but I always wanted to host a game show. So I'm also a trivia guy. So all of a sudden, to get Cash Cab, in 2008, and be a guy that's hosting the game show, driving around asking people trivia questions, I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that is great. I've also wanted to become a talk show host and also a game show host. The talk show host of it is now come true here.
There you go.
So hopefully I can get some tips from you on how to get to do another game show, but not be a competition, because I really like you.
All right, good. Well, I appreciate that. And listen, at least right now, Joe, you're in the confines of your studio or wherever you are, and there's no traffic or anything to worry about, or
exactly.
a contestant screaming at you or anything like that. But it's a lot of sensory and overstimulation and fun, and you're jacked up. But I have a lot of fun with the contestants, and everything that you see in the Cash Cab is really them. These are just regular people, and the stuff that comes out of their mouth and the deliberations, that's really happening. That's how it happens.
It's truly amazing. Now, when you you've been doing this, I'll stick with Toronto, because you've been doing it for 4 years, and you did the 1 year in Vancouver. And I mean, Cash Cab has caught on now. I believe that a lot of people do know about Cash Cab. It's kind of like a reality / game show / hidden camera at first. But has anyone actually opened up not to be racist, say, but you're probably the only white taxi driver in Toronto. Do they not catch on when they get in the cab and say, oh my gosh, this is Cash Cab, before you even get the bells and whistles going?
Yeah, it's harder and harder to fool people. I certainly do miss the days when we were making season 1 and nobody had really seen it before or heard of it, and so they were a little bit sketched out, what's going on here, And I would eventually be able to convince them to play. Anybody that was kind of a little bit weirded out, I'd say, hey, this is going to be airing on Discovery Channel. And they go, oh, okay, so it's on the up and up. They know the cred is there, and they're not afraid that they're being punked or anything like that.
Yeah, or they're going to get robbed.
And gradually, as people had either seen the show or heard of it, it was getting harder and harder to fool people. But I think what happens, and what you might see when you see the show now in later seasons, is people can't believe it's actually happening to them. So they have a look on their face like, is that really him? And it only takes me about 10 or 20 seconds to get their destination and play around a little bit with them, and then hit it's a little computer touchscreen right beside me, right down here in the cab. So it doesn't take that long for me to get that surprise. So even if they're kind of going, oh, I'm like, bang, I'm hitting it. So it's harder and harder to fool people, but I think that they're kind of stunned that it's actually happening to them. So I still get a bit of a surprise reaction out of it.
Now, how is it that because I mean, I've never actually driven in a taxi, and I've never had to hail.
You've never taken a cab before in your life?
I've never taken a cab before in my life. I swear. I've taken subways. I've taken planes. I've driven my own car. I've had people drive me, like friends and family, but I've never taken a cab before in my life.
So this is why cabbies, not only in Toronto, but cabbies across the country, I get cabbies, Kingston, London, in the East Coast, St. John's. Cabbies love me and love Cash Cab because I'm building their business back. Cabbies need more business, so it's guys like you maybe I should take, maybe I could walk, but maybe I'm going to take a cab because you never know. It could be the cash cab. And I can't
Exactly.
believe you, so cabbies like that. I can't believe that you would say, today I'm going to spend the $12
Yeah,
and take
no,
a cab or
I've
whatever.
never had to, but you know what? I think just in the honor of Cash Cab, in
Hey,
the month of April, I'm going to take a cab in my home area and just do that. I know it won't be a cash cab. I'll be paying the cash instead. But
yeah.
how other than like, okay, I will be home calling the cab to come pick me up. But in Toronto, people are on the streets and whatever else. I mean, yeah, you see cabs parked here and there on the streets, but how do you actually properly hail a cab to get to you?
Well, you can't. You got to just be lucky. I am sometimes in taxi stands, but very rarely because more and more people will recognize me. So I'm usually just driving around, and you just got to be lucky enough to hail the cab when you're out there. The only thing I will say, and I don't want to shatter anybody's hopes of getting the cash cab if they happen to be coming to Toronto this spring or summer, is that I make a full season of cash cab in about a 6 to 8 week period.
Right.
So it's not like I'm on the road in Toronto or I was on the road in Vancouver all year.
Yeah.
And so if you happen to be, I know a lot of people say, I get Facebook messages or Twitter messages from people saying, I'm coming to Toronto this weekend. I'm going to be at the corner of so-and-so. I'm like, first of all, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And second of all, I'm not even in production. The cash cab currently, for instance, is being prepped for the season. There's a whole bunch of studio equipment that needs to go into it. So that's the only thing I'll say is I'm not on the road all year long.
Beautiful. Now, you have an earpiece in your ear that gets the questions, or do you have them all memorized before you drive?
Yeah, I've got an earpiece to help me to prompt because it's a lot of information and a lot going on.
Yeah.
That's people can see the earpiece, so they know that there's a director in my ear saying, you don't turn left here because we got or whatever,
Yeah.
so that I can really focus on being safe and being fun and engaging the audience. And so I try to commit as much as I can in memory to make it as fluid as possible. But I want to be able to focus on reacting to what the contestants have to say and what they're coming up with. So anything that I can take off my plate makes it easier for me to have that fun, that interaction that I have with the contestants. Of course, when I meet people in public, especially, I got a lot of young fans, Joe, and the kids that are in school, 8 to 12-year-olds, come up to me and say, "You are a genius. You know so much." And I'm like, well, yeah.
There you go.
I don't mention that because it's like Santa Claus for them.
That's right.
I let them live with that.
That's right. Hey, why not make it happen? Let them believe that, eh? So now, you along with the cash cab, how this works is they hail a cab, you pick them up randomly, they get answered. They're shocked at first. They answer questions along their way with different monetary values. And along the way, they have some help. They have a phone a friend and a shout out. And I'm interested about the shout out because strangers talking with strangers on the street. Are people freaked out on the street? Like, why are these people yelling at me out of the cab?
Yeah, so the instruction I give to contestants when they opt for the street shout out, which is what you're talking about, that's one of their lifelines, if you want to call it
Yeah.
that. It's not really our term. So when contestants opt for a street shout out, I say, okay, so great, okay, we're going to do the street shout out, and I pull over wherever they ask for it, unless it's completely like beside a cemetery or a park where there's nobody walking around. I might walk up to, or I might drive a little further up to a corner to get them closer to an intersection.
Yeah.
And I pull over and there's edits and you don't see everything in real time. And as I'm pulling over, I just instruct them to say, okay, listen, there's no hurry here. You can pick whoever you want. And I would recommend, especially if it's nighttime,
Yeah.
I would recommend that you open the door and you don't just all of a sudden leap out and scream at somebody, because when a car pulls over in a big city like Toronto and someone just goes, "Hey, come over here," the people get scared.
Yeah.
So I say the first thing that should come out of your mouth and say is say, "Hey, I'm on Cash Cab. I need your help."
Right.
As opposed to, "Hey, you, come over here," because people are like, "Whoa." So that usually works.
Nice.
And the same thing with now people getting into the cab randomly is that people walking down the street have either heard of the show or more likely seen it now, and so they're really game to help. So it really actually is pretty funny to see random people in the cab talk to random people outside the cab on the street, and you get this great television and interaction to try to give the correct answer.
I think it's such a great concept, a great idea. You do such a great job at hosting it. You are a great talent. Now, along with hosting Cash Cab, I just want to get away from Cash Cab for a few minutes here. You
Sure.
are a stand-up comedian. You've been on Just for Laughs, the gala there, Comedy Now, Comedy Central, Comics, Star Search back out in L.A. Tell me a little bit about what happened on Star Search with you.
Well, Star Search was many years now. It was the revamped version with Arsenio Hall hosting, and they actually saw me on Just for Laughs and wanted me to come on the show. And so it was a real, huge opportunity, and it was a crazy stand-up. I mean, I've been doing stand-up comedy for over 15 years, and I've performed in all sorts of different environments, paid gigs.
Yeah.
Not even including all the free ones you do as an amateur or fundraisers or whatever like that. Paid gigs with audiences in comedy clubs and theaters, paid gigs in boardrooms to corporate gigs of like a half dozen people.
Okay.
I've done a paid show for less than 6 people in an office boardroom.
Oh my.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Weird if you've ever performed. And so to get Star Search was 1 minute and 50 seconds of stand-up comedy, live U.S. network television in front of an estimated audience, and it was confirmed it was over 14 million people.
Wow.
And so the tactile experience of going through that in your head, prepping, like when you've been a headliner, like when you start out you have like maybe 5 minutes. When you've been a headliner for years, you get like an hour, 2 hours worth of content that you want. You have to narrow it down to 1 minute and 50 seconds of stand-up to establish a relationship with the audience, get it done, and you know that you're live in front of over 10 million people.
Yeah.
It was wild. I mean, I didn't win my round,
right?
Which was very hard for me as a performer because literally, Joe, everybody I knew and was related to watched that because everybody knew that I was doing that. So it was like, oh boy. But I wouldn't turn it down at all.
Oh, no.
Opportunity. And so just that the takeaway experience. But since that time, I mean, it was pretty funny because the producers of that show that got canceled after I think 1 season, and they kept in touch and they said, we just wanted to follow up and see how you're doing as a result of your appearance on Star Search, and nothing really happened for me as a result of being on Star Search, like zero.
Wow.
And so it was years later. It was easily 2-3 years later that I still worked. I was still doing corporates and stand-up, but this is several years later, and then all of a sudden things started to come together with a couple of other opportunities that I had, and then Cash Cab came along, and it's really been since Cash Cab that I've made the marriage between being a stand-up comic, a television host, which I've also been prior to Cash Cab in different incarnations, and a trivia guy. And so now I put all 3 of those together, and I have my own show, which I just brand the Adam Growe Quiz Show because I'm taking it into live environments and performing on stage, a combination of my stand-up and then asking my own personal trivia questions, which are knowledge-based, but you can actually win money out of my pocket live on stage. But they're my own questions with my own twist, which is humorous multiple choice options in order to get the answer. I'll give you an example right now. So here's a sample of an Adam Growe Quiz Show question.
Okay.
Alec Baldwin, in late 2011, Alec Baldwin was escorted off an American Airlines flight after he refused to stop playing what highly addictive game?
It's okay. Now, no multiple choice. I gotta say it.
Well, what happens in my show when we're doing a live environment is I give you the question, and say that question was worth $50.
Okay.
Right? And if you would be up there with a friend or whatever deliberating, and you would try to answer before I give you the multiple choice. If you get the correct answer before I give you the multiple choice, it's going to be worth $50. If you need the multiple choice to get the correct answer, it's going to be worth less.
Okay. So let me try. Do I only get one guess only though?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say I think it was words.
Okay. So in late 2011, Alec Baldwin was escorted off an American Airlines flight after he refused to stop playing what highly addictive game? Was it A, World of Warcraft, B, methylene Methylene dioxymethamphetamine-ville. C, sweaty birds. Or D, words with friends. So yeah, there you go. You would have got the $50 for being correct at the front end of that question.
Nice, nice.
So I always give kind of silly multiple choice so that it's obvious which answer is correct. And so if someone didn't know words with friends, they would have gotten maybe 25 or $20.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, you had the Adam Growe Quiz Show in St. Catharines just recently. In my neck of the woods, how did that go?
It went really well. It was a lot of fun. We had several full games with a lot of contestants that came on stage. People won a considerable amount of money, and it was a nice mixed crowd. There was a lot of varying demographics. And so, I've got to try to balance the games out in terms of trivia and the style of humor that's going to resonate with someone who's, 50 plus. And then there's a lot of fans of Cash Cab that are university and younger. So there was a real mix of games, and it was a lot of fun because, people get a chance to come up and meet me and be contestants live on show. And then afterwards there's pictures and autographs and stuff like that. So it's very fun for me to have an intimate theater environment after working on televisions for so many years and radio when you are disconnected from your audience. So to keep that live stuff going in my career is really important to me.
What a best place to do it to, at a university, because I know a lot of university kids need the money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was in St. Catharines. It was on the Brock University campus at the O'Sullivan Theater there. But that theater really books a lot of stuff that's not exclusively...
No, it is.
So, I mean, that particular booking, the Adam Growe Quiz Show, was actually for their outside season. There were some university students there, and I do the universities across the country.
Beautiful.
I do, I go East Coast to West Coast universities, and I even go south of the border with this show. It's interesting. There's an American version of Cash Cab, and there's, of course...
Yeah, there's the New York City one and Las Vegas one.
Yeah, there's dozens of stand-up comics in both Canada and the U.S., but I did a showcase in Antigonish in the East Coast of Canada about 2 years ago now, and there happened to be several bookers from the eastern seaboard of the United States, and they loved my stand-up and my quiz show. Oh. So they booked it in 2 big blocks stateside. So in the fall, I was down in Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia, and I'm going back this month to 5 more theaters in North Carolina. And, frankly, they don't know Adam Growe. I've been on Comedy Central, I've been on Star Search, but, just those are flash in the pan.
Yeah.
They've got their own version of Cash Cab. And so it's not the kind of thing where it's a big draw for them, but they just like the product so much. The bookers brought me in. So, obviously, got to admit, I'm not selling out the houses for the bookers.
Yeah.
I'm getting, my take, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me, Joe.
Okay.
The people that are coming to the show are having a fantastic time. So it's just great to be laying the groundwork. And what I'd really like to be doing is touring across Canada where people really know, or at least more know, my name and face, and can make that connection, and we'll come to the show and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and people, the kids, probably the younger kids, also you were on YTV. They know you and your TVO. So you've been really involved with all wide variety from young to old, which I love, which I do too with my entertaining and singing comedy and that. But Adam Growe, you can follow him on Twitter, and it's Growe. I don't know how many times I've seen when I searched you on the internet to get a little more information. It's GRO or GROW. It's like, no, it's GROWE. So
correct.
Make sure, and that's the website, adamgrowe.com. And you also have a little bit of voice in satellite radio too, still on Laugh Attack on XM 153.
Yeah, once in a while, they'll play some of my stand-up, or I'll go in and do a little bit of a takeover and do some trivia questions on there, and kind of promote the quiz show if I'm touring at any particular time. So I'm working on some stuff that people following me on my Facebook fan page, and then follow me on Twitter. You'll be able to see I post questions every day. I'm keeking now. Are you keeking?
I never even heard. What is keeking?
Keeking is hilarious. I mean, I don't know why I'm doing it. It's like, it's not even my product, but keeking is basically like the video version of Twitter.
Okay.
So you set up you set up an account with Keek, Keek, and I'm not getting any money for this. You should thank me. And like Twitter is limited to 140 characters.
Yeah.
is limited to 36 seconds of video. That's their little special sauce.
Oh, jeez.
So you post a video, and it's got to be 36 seconds or less, and you can keek back, you can have relationships, and you can get followers and subscribers with that. So it's you guys at Remix, you're in the business of digital media.
Yes.
So you know how more and more accessible the broadbands and the high speeds and the fiber optics are and everything like that. So this is just another incarnation of what people can do in the social media.
All right, so you can Facebook Adam, tweet Adam, keek Adam, and keek him. What a word, keek.
Keeksters.
I like that, keeking. Now that's going to be my word for the day, keeking. Adam Growe, who is the host of Cash Cab, is going to be starting his next season of Cash Cab in Toronto this spring, in the summer. Hopefully, maybe you're one of the lucky people that hails a cab and have Adam. And Adam, has anyone really gotten upset that they didn't want to play at, or they just refused, or?
You know what? In season 1, like I was saying earlier in this interview, because people didn't really know of Cash Cab when we were making it before it even hit the air, there was maybe a half dozen people that just kind of said, you know what, I'm going to opt out. I'm not big on surprises. But since then, that was before 2009, that was making season 1, before it had aired. Mm-hmm. And then once it got onto air, literally there were 2 girls, when we were making season 4 in Toronto. And I can remember this because there's so few, obviously, that say no to Cash Cab.
Yeah.
They were 2 young girls. They must have been 20, 21 years old, and they had just come from a concert at the ACC, and one of them had lost her cell phone, or her mobile phone.
Right.
And they were too scattered. They loved Cash Cab. They go, yeah, we would do it another time, but I need to get back and find my phone. It's like it's their lifeline, right? So I said, I'll drive you, and we'll ask questions. We'll play the game on the way. And they're like, no, we can't focus. We can't concentrate. Literally, aside from that, in making 5 seasons, those are the only people that have said no.
Awesome. Now, hopefully, Adam picks you up and gives you some money. Adam, just before we go, I know it's a personal question, but you're the man who has cash in his pocket. How much cash do you have in your pocket right now?
Can I go to my... You're gonna come with me so I can actually go to my wallet?
Okay, let's do a little back tour here with Adam. We're going through here to find his wallet.
Because it's not in. I gotta find my wallet. Hang on.
All right.
It's my studio space. Just gotta make sure there's some money in here. I don't want it to be too dark. Can you see me still? There we go.
Oh yeah, we can still see you.
All right, here we go. I got the money.
It's like
so
a
now
bad
I have to
edition
count
of.
This?
Pardon me. Yeah, let's see how much money.
Count this for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on.
It's like a bad edition of the Blair Witch Project here.
Yes. Or I probably shouldn't have walked so fast. People are going, what?
People who are taking speed right now in Coke are thinking, oh my God, that's going too fast.
All right, here we go. This is the money I had. I got 50, the new 50s.
Yeah, nice.
That's 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, $200 I had. That's
$200. There you go. All right. See, now someone can hopefully win that off of you.
Oh, wait. 210.
Oh.
215.
Oh, there we go. It just keeps on coming.
220. 220. You don't take credit, do you?
No, I don't take credit.
230. 235.
235. There you go.
That's more respectable.
Beautiful. Adam, I want to thank you very much for coming on Entertainment Extra with Joe Crawford here on Remix TV. All the best and success to you and continuing on with your comedy and the Adam Growe Quiz Show and also Cash Cab.
Yes, well, thanks, and best of luck to you too, Joe.
Oh, thank you very much, and hopefully if you're in the Niagara region again, we can meet up and have a coffee or something, and with that much money in your wallet, I say the coffee's on you.
All right, man.
All right, thanks a lot. Keep it tuned to all our shows here on RemixTV.com.